On this episode of Hoosier Adventures, we check out the island of Maui. Was very fortunate to get to go on a very short trip to Maui. Previously, I'd never been to any of the Hawaiian Islands before. I've really never been to the Hawaiian Islands or Polynesia or anywhere like that. So we got to go here. This is the end of December, and this is what the weather was like. I believe it was about 80 degrees Fahrenheit that day. One of the coolest things that I found out that I didn't know before I traveled to Maui here was that you can see other Hawaiian islands while standing on the beaches. So we're on the island of Maui. On the right here is the island of Lanai, and then on the left off the coast here you can see Kahului. That's at least how I would pronounce it. The concierge at the hotel pronounced it a different way. I can't remember. Kahului, though, is most famous for being used as bombing practice by the U.S. military, and that continued up until, I believe, the 90s, and that's what the concierge told us at least, and that's crazy to think about. Still, nobody lives on the island. There's just a Hawaiian island that's desolate with no people on it. It's kind of amazing. Having studied the Hawaiian Islands in the third grade, I didn't realize that they were that close together. So you might not be able to swim there. If you were a strong swimmer, you probably could, but you can certainly take an outrigger canoe there. And we're going to get some close-up footage here of this outrigger canoe. The entire day, no one was around this thing, so I guess maybe they just leave it on the beach. We did see several of these in the water that day. At least one of them only had one individual paddling and steering it, so that's kind of amazing. Though we don't have footage of it, I did actually go swimming in the Pacific Ocean, and it was pretty comfortable. I mean, I tend to think of the Pacific Ocean as being really, really cold. My only prior experience was I tried to go swimming when I went to San Diego, and it was just too cold. But here, even in the middle of December in Hawaii, it was warm enough that I was able to swim pretty comfortably. It was about 80 degrees this day, so it was amazing weather. One of the cool things about Hawaii that I'm not too familiar with, you should probably look to other resources if you want to check more about this, is there are kind of like different separate climates on different parts of these islands. And in some cases, they call them microclimates. They're that small. And for example, the entire day where we were at, it didn't rain. It was just this beautiful weather, as you can see. But on another side of the island and on top of one of the island's mountains, it basically rained constantly. So this is on the west side of Maui. The airport that we flew out of is actually on the east side of Maui. And when we left, it was pouring rain at the airport, and it kind of looked like it had been pouring rain all day. Whereas on this part of Maui, it was beautiful and sunny. Those are all surfers out there. There was kind of like a mass surfers lesson. So a lot of these people were clearly beginners. At least one time, I don't have it on camera, but at least one time, two of them ran into each other, and when they ran into each other, one kind of went over top. So like his surfboard went over top the other one's surfboard and cut him off, and the other person fell off, and the person whose surfboard went on top just kind of kept going. The economy on the island just seems so dependent on tourists. There's so many surf lessons, there's so many boat trips, helicopter trips, all that kind of stuff, private guided tours. So any kind of thing that you can think of that you would want to do in Hawaii, even on Maui in this relatively small town, people were advertising and you could definitely do it. So again, this is a lot of people getting surf lessons. So of course there are a ton of people out here learning to surf, but if we walk a little bit farther down the beach in this next shot, you might actually see some turtles. So there's this stretch of the beach that has a whole bunch of turtle activity, and I kind of rolled my eyes when my wife told me about this because I didn't expect to see any. But if you have a big enough TV or you can stop and zoom in, you're going to see their heads pop up. And there were a lot of them here on this stretch, and there are all these signs that say, hey, take your fishing line, dispose of your fishing line properly, because the turtles accidentally eat it, it kills them. And that was kind of when I realized the unintentional destruction that we cause to this environment. And in a way, I'm a small part of that problem. I go to Hawaii to be a tourist. Think of how many tourists come to Hawaii. Think of how many people continually move to Hawaii because they love the weather, they love the beaches, they love that kind of stuff. And in a lot of cases, these are one-of-a-kind ecosystems that I say this unintentionally, we unintentionally destroy. Every accidental piece of fishing line that gets left behind can hurt the turtles or can hurt the animals, but think of what is, left behind on purpose and things like that. So it was very, very sobering, especially when you ask locals about how many more people live there than used to. Here we are in a grocery store. I saw this really cool thing. It looked like a beer tap, but this is actually non-alcoholic drinks. They're from Hawaii. I'd never heard of them previously. It's called Big Wave Beverage Company. The one that I got that day was ginger flavored. It was very good, but I only needed like 3 to 4 sips. I didn't need a full 12-ounce drink of it. But it's certainly worth trying when you're in Hawaii. Hey, you never know when you're going to get back. Here's an outdoor market. One of the coolest things that I realized by looking at this was the weather is just so good that you can have these outdoor places. You don't need air conditioning. You don't need to worry about the cold or anything like that. Again, I'm here in late December, so this beautiful weather, it was just kind of amazing. We didn't end up getting any souvenirs, but I kind of had to restrain myself from buying like a tiki to hang on the wall. And this market had a whole bunch of them, if you're into that. The problem was I couldn't find one that I was comfortable with staring at me. A lot of them kind of had angry, agitated faces like this one, and I didn't want that looking at me while I'm sitting in my chair trying to relax. Of course, a koi pond. You can't see a koi pond without thinking of Michael Scott falling in the koi pond on The Office. Here's a chicken. Quite a few chickens running around on Hawaii. It just kind of seems like maybe the thing to do is to just get chickens and let them run wild. Now, we didn't have a lot of time, so we didn't get to explore the other parts of Maui. This is just sort of the western side of the island, and only a small portion of the western side of the island. But when you have such a great beach and such great weather, it's kind of like, I don't really want to go explore. I want to go to the water. I want to go swimming. I want to just sit around and relax. Now, we're getting ready and gearing up for the sunset here, and of course, the sunset is beautiful. The sky kind of turned this reddish purple color. What I will warn you, and this is kind of a pro tip that we saw a lot of people learn the hard way, is everyone else is watching the sunset. So just people come out in droves. Every tourist is there watching the sunset. And then the second the sun goes down, they all run to restaurants. So every restaurant on the beach or near the beach got packed with people after the sun went down, whereas we went a few minutes early and were able to get into places. So that's kind of a pro tip. Sort of my last thing to note is that the airport was open to the elements. There weren't glass in a lot of the windows. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. This will be my only video about the Hawaiian Islands for the foreseeable future, but I hope to return someday, and I hope that you get to travel there as well.